Welfare effects of social media finds that disengaging from the social networking site leads to lower online activity, reduced knowledge of current events, and small but significant improvements in well-being. Well, David Ryan Polgar is a tech ethicist and founder of All Tech is Human, and he joins me now. David, in some ways we've often heard quite recently actually about the benefits of switching off from Facebook. Is there anything in this study that surprised you?
Yeah, a lot of parts surprised me. In particular, I was surprised that there wasn't like a social media allotment. You would assume that if people spent an hour less on social media, they might spend it elsewhere. But this showed that they actually just went to the offline types of activities. They spent more time with families and friends, and it seemed to have that noticeable increase in reports of happiness.
What I found interesting was the reduced factual news knowledge, but also the reduced political polarization. Those are two things that people have been talking a lot about in terms of social media. What do you think that element of the study tells us?
Yeah, well, it shows that there is a potential positive to Facebook. So I think we can't view it in binary terms like, is Facebook either good or bad? It has obviously positive parts for society. And I think getting our news, a lot of people get their news from Facebook, but to your point, it increases polarization. But what the study didn't really get into in depth, which a lot of commentators have talked about recently, is this idea of echo chambers. Is one of the issues is that we might be getting our news from Facebook, but because of their algorithmic bias towards higher engagement, it might be showing us news that already goes to our preconceived notions about our political parties or our leanings, which in turn might increase polarization, which might be part of the problem that we're having.
There are, as you say, some positives with Facebook. I know a lot of people who use it to organise their social lives, and switching off from it would mean that they would miss out on a lot of events. It's not that easy to come off the site.
No, and I think the issue is that we shouldn't unplug, right? We should just plug in differently. The biggest part that I took away from this study is that it was kind of like these participants, they stepped off the hamster wheel and they said, well, I don't necessarily want to not jump back onto this hamster wheel of social media. I just want to engage differently. I don't want to be disengaged. I just want to engage in a manner that is better for my own particular life. In addition, what I think Facebook does well with is it increases the breadth of our connections, our weak connections. But what we as humans find a lot of value is the depth of our conversations, the depth of our relationships. So I think that's the bigger takeaway from the study, is that we need to focus on not just the breadth, but also the depth. We need to have close friends that we can have interesting conversations with. We need to engage with families and other loved ones that we have. And I think that's the key part, is that Facebook or any social media is not going to be a replacement. It's going to be a conduit, which should hopefully lead to those offline engagements.
We'll have to wait and see how many people do switch off from Facebook. David Ryan Polgar, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's only a matter of days now until the Lunar New Year. People in China, Korea, Vietnam and many other nations in Asia will be celebrating. In fact, for some, the festivities are already underway, as are the journeys many